Hey everybody, it's Jason Wood from 11 O'Clock Comics, and we are back with another top 5 of the week because it's Wednesday, April 19th, and that means new comics on shelves. We start off over at Marvel with X-Force number 39. As you can see from the cover, we've got a couple of new members of the team, and I love when super teams switch up their rosters. It's always one of the more fun conceits of a team book. And it looks like Laura Kinney, a.k.a. Wolverine, and Mr. Colossus, Pyotr Rasputin, are joining the squad. Robert Gill and Ben Percy continue to tell an action-packed, fun, and sometimes stressful yarn, and I'm here for it. Our next pick comes from DC Comics, and it's part of the ongoing Dawn of DC soft reboot that's happening over there since Dark Crisis events have wound down. And the pick is Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow, number 1. It's written by Kenny Porter with art by Janoy Lindsay, an artist who admittedly I'm not yet particularly familiar with. Connor has always been a character that I've enjoyed, in part because of the cartoons, which mean a lot to my sons, and I've watched a bunch of them. But either way, he is back in the mix, but it looks like he doesn't feel quite at home on Earth anymore, so he heads out into the stars for some grand adventures. Dark Horse Comics is giving us a new horror book called All Eight Eyes, number 1. And as you might guess from the cover, this is a giant monster comic featuring some oversized spiders. The writer Steve Fox is a noted and well-accomplished horror writer. And the art, which is the big draw for me, is by Peter Kowalski. Peter may be the hardest working man in comics this year, still coming fresh off of Where Monsters Lie. And he's also doing Bloodborne at Titan and had the Carmen line come out just a few weeks ago as well from Mad Cave. But aside from being fast, he's also a great storyteller, and horror is certainly in his bag of tricks. So excited to see what they do here in a New York City-style setting with grand disaster. Our fourth pick is from Image Comics, and it's World Tree, number 1. Yes, I know you may be looking at that jumble of letters and thinking, is that what it says? I assure you, though, in code speak, it really does read as World Tree. And this is the newest horror comic by writer James Tynion IV. And given the astounding run he's been on these last few years, anytime Tynion launches a new horror book, it's a must-read event. He's joined in this comic by artist Fernando Blanco and one of the industry's best colorists in Jordi Belair. Now, if you're looking to know a bit more about this book in particular before you pick it up, you can listen to my co-hosts, David Price and Vince B., who talked about the book in advance on last week's episode of our podcast, 11 O'Clock Comics. But I'm excited to give it a read this week, as I wasn't able to do the show last week. I was on vacation. And it should be great stuff, because when has Tynion ever let us down? And last but not least, our final pick is The Mighty Barbarians, number 1. This comes at us from Ablaze, which is admittedly a publisher we haven't mentioned too often of late, but it's not because they don't put out quality stuff. Either way, very excited for this. It's a new ongoing, first and foremost, which is nice to see. It's written by Michael Morecci, who is probably best known for the work he's done with Nathan Gooden over on Barbaric. And as you can probably gather, Mighty Barbarians is of similar ilk. It is a fantasy comic featuring a barbarian in the lead role, only this barbarian is a bit better known than Barbaric was when they launched that series. It is Kull, the Conqueror. He is joined in this team-up by a Viking maiden named Berka, a shapeshifter named Nanook, and Anansi, the trickster god. And it looks like they're being led or advised or put together by Morgan Le Fay, the Dark Sorceress. I just think this is a really fun conceit. I've always loved team books. I love getting the band together books. And I have a lot of faith in Morecci. Artist Giuseppe Cafaro, who I haven't read too many comics from, but I am familiar with his line from the art scene. And wow, is he an amazing storyteller. That all adds up to one of my most exciting pickups probably of 2023. And that'll do it for this week. I hope you are excited for the books you plan on picking up at the shop. And I know I can't wait to dive into these 5 and a whole mess more As always, thanks for listening. Make sure to hit that like button, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. It's free. But far more importantly, if you aren't already, be sure to subscribe to our podcast, 11 O'Clock Comics. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else that you get your podcast from. As always, we come to you at least 5, if not 6 times a month, and bring you 2 to 3 hours of glorious comics conversation. If you want to learn more, you can check us out at 11o'clockcomics.com or Facebook groups /11 o'clock comics, or over on our Patreon, which is patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. And that's 11 o'clock comics. That'll do it for this week, and I will be back next week. Enjoy your comics in the meantime.